All right, let's talk about the biggest flower on Earth. I'm willing to bet that the one you're picturing right now, well, it's probably not the right one.
Okay, so let me just ask you straight up. What is the world's largest flower? Go on, what's the first name that pops into your head?
I'm guessing you're thinking of the corpse flower, right? You know, that huge, famously stinky one that's always in nature documentaries. And yeah, you're not alone. That's what most people would say.
But here's the thing. That's not the right answer. Not even close. The real champion is something totally different, way more mysterious, and honestly, a whole lot weirder.
So let's clear up this giant misconception, shall we? It's time to unveil the true champion. Okay, so here's the deal, the key difference. The famous corpse flower, that's not actually one single flower. It's what botanists call an inflorescence. Basically, it's a huge stalk packed with thousands of tiny little flowers. But the real record holder for the largest single flower, that's a plant called Rafflesia arnoldii, one single massive bloom. And the story behind this flower is just wild. It goes all the way back to 1818. A naturalist named Joseph Arnold was on an expedition in Sumatra, and he stumbled upon what he called a prodigious flower. I mean, can you imagine? But here's where it gets tragic. He died of a fever shortly after finding it. Luckily, his note survived, and the flower was named Rafflesia arnoldii to honor both him and the expedition leader, Sir Stamford Raffles. You know, the size is incredible, but that's not even the weirdest part of this story. Its whole lifestyle is, well, it's something else. So let's meet this thing that some people call the phantom flower. Okay, so Rafflesia is what's known as a holoparasite. That's a fancy word, but what it means is this plant is a total freeloader. It can't make its own food, through photosynthesis like normal plants. Instead, it's completely dependent on a host plant, basically stealing all the water and nutrients it needs to live. Just think about how wild that is for a second. This is a plant with no leaves, no stem, no roots. It has literally evolved to ditch all the parts we think of when we picture a plant, all because, well, it just doesn't need them. So how does it work? Well, its life cycle is pure stealth mode. A tiny little seed lands on its very specific host, a vine called tetrastigma. It works its way through the bark and then it just lives inside the vine. It becomes this network of hidden threads just quietly siphoning off energy. You wouldn't even know it's there. For months, sometimes years, it's completely invisible. The only clue you get is when this single, weird, cabbage-sized bud finally bursts out of the vine. And that bud, that's the opening act. Because what comes next is the main event, a bloom that's spectacular, incredibly short-lived, and famously stinky. The scale here is just mind-blowing. We're talking about a bloom that can be 110 centimeters across. That's more than 3.5 feet wide. It is a true monster of the plant world. And of course, we have to talk about its most famous feature, the smell. People describe it as this powerful, putrid stench, basically like rotting meat. And yeah, this is probably why people get it confused with the other corpse flower. They both use the same disgusting but very effective trick. But that foul smell isn't just for show. It's actually a super clever survival trick. It's all a big deception to attract its pollinators, carrion flies. These flies are tricked into thinking they found a rotting carcass to lay their eggs on. So they fly in, crawl around, and boom, they end up pollinating the flower. It's disgusting, but you have to admit, it's pretty brilliant. For all that size, for all that incredible effort, the whole show is over in a flash. The life of this giant is one big, dramatic race against the clock.
I mean, check out this contrast. It can take 9 months for that bud to grow. 9 months! And after all that time, all that waiting, the huge flower is only open for about 5 to 7 days. That's it. Then it just collapses into this black, gooey mess.
Just think about that. 5 to 7 days. That is the entire window to see one of the absolute rarest and most amazing sights in the entire plant kingdom. And this is the really tragic part. All of that extreme specialization, everything that makes it so unique, also makes it incredibly vulnerable. We're talking about a giant that is genuinely on the brink of being lost forever. The threats are really coming at it from all angles. First, you've got massive habitat loss from deforestation. But its own biology is also working against it. It can only live on that one specific vine. So if the vine goes, the flower goes. Then you need a male and a female flower to bloom at the exact same time, right next to each other, and you need the right flies to be around to pollinate them. Every single link in that chain is just so fragile. But it's not all bad news. There is hope. People are working hard to save it. They're creating protected areas, national parks, to conserve its habitat. Ecotourism is also helping a lot because it gives local communities a real financial reason to protect the flower. And scientists are racing to study its biology, trying to figure out how to grow it before it's too late. And really, that's the crucial takeaway here. Everything that makes the Rafflesia so amazing, the fact that it's a parasite, its bizarre lack of a body, that enormous flower, those are the very same things that put it in so much danger. Its extreme specialization is both its greatest wonder and its greatest weakness. You know, this phantom flower lives almost its entire life hidden away, basically a myth. It really makes you wonder, right? As our planet's wild places get smaller and smaller, how many other incredible wonders like this are vanishing before we even know they exist?